Have you ever looked at your bank account after a completely normal month and thought, where did all my money go? You didn't buy a yacht, you didn't book a luxury vacation, you just lived your life, and somehow your money disappeared. That's because we're living through a major shift in value. In 2026, a lot of the things we still think of as normal purchases are no longer harmless little expenses. They've become overpriced habits that quietly drain your future. And the danger is, most of them don't feel expensive in the moment. They feel convenient, they feel familiar, they feel deserved. But if you want real financial freedom, you have to start seeing these spending patterns for what they are. So today, we're breaking down 10 things that are no longer worth your hard-earned money. And if you can spot these leaks early, you can redirect that cash toward wealth instead of waste. Let's get into it. Number 1. Food delivery apps. At this point, food delivery isn't just expensive, it's financially aggressive. A meal that costs $12 in person can easily turn into $20 or $22 by the time you add inflated menu prices, delivery fees, service charges, and a tip. You're not just paying for food, you're paying a huge convenience tax. And once in a while, fine. But if this becomes a habit, say twice a week, you could be losing well over $1,000 a year for the privilege of avoiding a short drive or a quick pickup. Convenience is great, but not when it turns into a steady transfer of your money to a platform that adds almost no long-term value to your life. Number 2. Brand new cars. This is still one of the fastest ways to destroy wealth while feeling successful. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, a big chunk of its value disappears instantly. And then many people make it worse by stretching the payments over 6, 7, even 8 years. That means you're making long monthly payments on something that is dropping in value the entire time. And in many cases, people end up owing more than the car is actually worth. Wealthy people who understand money usually don't chase brand new cars. They let someone else absorb the early depreciation, then buy a reliable used car a few years later. It's not as flashy, but it's a much smarter move. Number 3. Fast food. Fast food used to mean one thing: cheap and easy. Now it's mostly just easy. Prices have climbed so much that what used to feel like a budget meal now feels suspiciously close to sit-down restaurant pricing, except the quality is worse and the health impact is usually worse too. A lot of people are still running on an old mental script that says fast food is the frugal option. It isn't. If you're paying premium prices for low-quality food that leaves you sluggish and hungry again a few hours later, that's not convenience, that's a bad deal. Number 4. Constant tech upgrades. Ask yourself this honestly: does your phone really need to be replaced every 2 years? For most people, the answer is no. The difference between one generation and the next has become smaller and smaller. A slightly better camera, a slightly brighter screen, a few features you'll barely use, and suddenly you're spending over $1,000 again. That's not a utility upgrade, that's usually a marketing upgrade. If you keep your phone, laptop, and other electronics longer, even just a few extra years, the savings add up fast. Your tech should serve your life. It should not become a recurring identity purchase. Number 5. Too many streaming subscriptions. Remember when people cut cable to save money? Now we've basically rebuilt cable, just with more passwords. One streaming service becomes 2, 2 becomes 5, and before you know it, you're paying over $100 a month for subscriptions you barely use. This is one of the most common modern money leaks because each payment feels small on its own, but those little monthly charges stack up into hundreds, sometimes over $1,000 a year. The smarter move is simple: rotate them.
Subscribe to one, watch what you want, cancel it, and move on to the next. You do not need permanent access to everything all the time. Number 6. Branded household basics. A lot of people are still paying premium prices for brand names, when the cheaper version does almost the exact same job. Pain relievers, cleaning supplies, pantry items, detergents. In many cases, the generic option has the same core ingredients or the same practical function. What you're often paying extra for is packaging, branding, and advertising. That might not feel like a big deal in one shopping trip, but over the course of a year, those choices can quietly cost a family thousands. And over decades, that difference can become enormous if that money is saved or invested instead. Sometimes the smartest financial move is also the least glamorous one. Number 7. Fast luxury and logo culture. There's a huge difference between buying something high quality and buying something expensive just because other people recognize the logo. A lot of so-called luxury products today are built with average materials, inflated pricing, and a brand story designed to make you feel important. That's not wealth. That's emotional spending wearing a polished mask. And too often, people buy these things while carrying credit card debt, living paycheck to paycheck, or falling behind on savings. Real wealth is usually quieter than people think. It doesn't need to announce itself through a handbag, a belt, or a label on a shirt. If something is putting financial pressure on your life just so you can look successful, it's not luxury, it's a liability. Number 8. Buy now, pay later for everyday stuff. This one is a major warning sign. Buy now, pay later can look harmless because the payments seem small. 4 easy installments, no big deal. But that's exactly why it's dangerous. It separates the purchase from the pain of paying for it. And once that mental disconnect happens, overspending gets much easier. If you're using installment payments for things like clothes, takeout, or groceries, that's not flexibility. That's financial stress wearing a user-friendly interface. Debt used for consumption is one of the worst traps because once the excitement of the purchase is gone, the payments are still there. Number 9. Viral trend purchases. Social media is incredibly good at making unnecessary products feel urgent. A trendy water bottle, a kitchen gadget, a beauty tool, a must-have item that suddenly seems like everybody owns, except you. And in the moment, your brain can interpret that as social pressure, as if not buying it means falling behind. But most trend-driven purchases lose their appeal fast. 6 months later, they're sitting in a drawer, a closet, or a donation pile. If something is truly useful, you'll still want it after the hype disappears. That's a simple filter that can save you a lot of money. Stop buying the narrative and start buying the utility. And number 10. Keeping too much cash in low-yield savings accounts. This may be the most invisible wealth leak of all. A lot of people leave their savings sitting in traditional accounts earning next to nothing. It feels safe, but in reality, inflation slowly eats away at the value of that money every single year. That means your cash may be sitting still, but your purchasing power is moving backwards. For an emergency fund or short-term savings, using a high-yield savings account can be one of the easiest financial upgrades you'll ever make. Same purpose, similar accessibility, better return. It's not flashy, but it's the kind of move that helps your money work with you instead of against you. At the end of the day, wealth is not about looking rich. It's about keeping more of what you earn. Every time you say no to an overpriced convenience, a status purchase, or a mindless habit, you are saying yes to future freedom. And that's the real goal. Not impressing strangers, not performing success, not buying things to feel temporarily ahead. Real financial progress comes from building momentum, quietly, consistently, intentionally. So if you want a better future, don't focus on looking wealthy. Focus on becoming wealthy. Choose substance over image. Choose ownership over impulse. Choose freedom over appearances. And if you're ready to start building that kind of life, I'll see you in the next one.